Cyberpunk 2077 has been doing incredible over the past few weeks, and while part of that success is of course thanks to the amazing Edgerunners anime, the game is also in a much better shape than it was at launch. There's been tons and tons of fixes for the bugs that riddled the game, performance has been greatly improved, and there's also a huge list of new features and content that have been added since launch for free. So whether you're a returning player that felt disappointed at launch, or if you're dipping your toes into Night City for the first time, we'll cover all the big changes made to Cyberpunk 2077 right here. A like on the video would really help us out, subscribe for more Cyberpunk content, and let's go. Of course, a big deal during launch was the performance on PS4 and Xbox One. A lot has been done to improve these versions, but I'd still argue you're better off playing the game on a current gen console or a PC. The game's original version already ran much better on newer consoles, but since patch 1.5 there's now a true next gen version of the game, which gives you access to two different graphics modes. Performance obviously focuses on maintaining a frame rate of 60 frames per second with dynamic 4K scaling, whereas the ray tracing mode drops the frames down to 30, but it will of course allow for much more realistic shadows. And while I still highly prefer the 60 frames for gameplay, the ray tracing does make the game look even more beautiful, especially during the night where all the neon and glass can make some beautiful scenery. And don't worry if you've been playing on an older console and want to make the jump to next gen, by the way, as cross progression has also been added with update 1.6. This will allow you to upload your game save to a cloud, and by making an account and logging in on a different console, you can then use previous saves on a different platform. Keep in mind though that this doesn't work when you're trying to port your PC saves to a console as listed here on the tech support page. The system will automatically provide you with the latest save for every type, so quick, auto, manual, etc. So even if you've already put many hours into the game when it launched, it's very easy to carry over that progress if you want. And of course, if you haven't played Cyberpunk in a long time, you might boot up the game, look at your character and think to yourself, what the hell did I make? Well, good news if that's the case, because the past couple of updates have introduced features that make redesigning your character a breeze. You can change a lot of cosmetic options by simply using the mirror in your apartment. Things like hairstyles, piercings and makeup can be changed whenever you like and at no additional cost. For more extensive body modifications, you'll have to visit a Ripper Dog, so that's the same type of merchant that will sell you cyberware to augment your body. These are able to change the shape of your face, the tone and type of your skin, pretty much anything except for what gender you picked at the start of the game, as that will of course influence your romance options. But yeah, if you want to change up your looks, you can pretty much create a new character from scratch without spending any money. And the same is true for your perks. High chance that if you haven't touched the game in a while, you've had your skill points refunded, as there's also been some changes to those, but before you had to buy a pretty expensive item if you wanted to respec all your perk points. However, if you look at the game now, you can see that there is a reset perks button at the bottom left of the perk screen, which will refund all your perk points so you can almost completely switch up your build. I say almost, as your attribute points, so the one you spend on your 5 core stats, cannot be refunded, but still, swapping out perks completely should still significantly change your playstyle. It will cost you a bit of eddies, with the base price being 2200 for one skill point and then 200 eddies on top for every next skill point you're trying to refund. So if like me, you're sitting at over 70 perk points, it can get a bit expensive, but it won't break the bank, and it's really fun if you want to try out something new for a change. And speaking of trying out different things, changing up your look is also way easier than it was at launch. Pieces of clothing can now be previewed at vendors, which is especially nice if you're shopping for style instead of stats. To make it even better, the recently added Transmog system allows you to create up to 6 clothing loadouts that you can swap between on the fly without impacting the stats of the clothes you're currently wearing. You can make these outfit choices at the wardrobe in your apartment, and you'll be able to choose from the looks of all the pieces of clothing you own. The look of a piece of clothing will remain in your wardrobe even after dismantling the actual item, so get out there and collect all the Night City drip you want and make some amazing outfits. We've mentioned your apartment a couple of times now, and while you of course have access to V's apartment from the very start of the game, there are now 4 other properties you can buy provided you have the eddies. There's one in Northside, one in Japantown, one in the Glen, and of course the most expensive suite is located in the heart of the city at Corpo Plaza. It's also possible to change up the color scheme of your apartment, and both of these features are accessible through your personal computer by going to the Easy Estates website. And of course, one way to get the eddies needed to buy one of these is completing a couple of gigs, and there's actually been some new ones that have been added since launch for free. I highly recommend checking out the concrete cage strap for the amazing hypercritical rifle you get from it, which is also new. It's over here on the map. There's also another gig that triggers here called Troublesome Neighbors that you have to complete first. That one's super easy, just kill the target and then go to sleep in your apartment, after which a new gig marker will have appeared at the same location. Go there again, which will start the concrete cage strap, follow the quest objective, and don't forget to pick up the weapon during your conversation with Tiny Mike. And if Edge Runners is what brought you to Cyberpunk, then there's also a special quest that's related to the anime that starts over here and rewards you with David's jacket. Plus, you can also find Rebecca's amazing shotgun guts by going over here on the map. Look for the 3 monks near the center circle in the park, and then underneath a brush behind them you find this beast of a shotgun. It really packs a punch, and the massive recoil makes the weapon feel even more powerful. There's been a lot of new firearms added in general, as well as a pretty impressive list of new weapon attachments, and as you can see, most of them will appear at Wilson's Banging Sale, which is right outside your apartment. Even melee players have some new types to toy around with, including some iconic variants that are pretty powerful. This blue fang that knocks enemies out in a single hit can be bought from the melee merchant all the way out in the Badlands, close to the Outer Works fast travel spot. So if you'd rather spend your money on more firepower than an apartment, there is a lot to enjoy too. I especially enjoy the Senko Tech SMG. It has a really fast reload, plus the rapid burst the weapon fires are really accurate, and when aiming you can hold the trigger to charge the weapon into full auto, which, because it's a tech weapon, also lets you shoot through cover, so it's a really strong all-rounder. I found mine over here at the Jinguji clothing store. Yes, a clothing store for a weapon is a bit weird, but trust me, this one is totally worth getting. And next to those big new additions and features, there have been a lot of smaller and subtler changes as well. Driving's had a rework that now allows for some cool tricks when you brake and gas at the same time, and both crowd and enemy AI have been reworked, which mostly improves on their reactions to things you do to make it feel more lifelike. So arcade machines in the city now actually work, and you can play the Witcher themed Roach Race minigame on them to earn yourself some rewards, which include an awesome western outfit if you manage to make it to the top of the leaderboard. And even the game's romance options have had a little addition in the form of some extra text interactions you can have with them on your phone, and the fact that you can wake up next to them after sleeping at their place when you've romanced them. And if you're playing on current gen consoles or PC, there's a lot more to come too. During the most recent Night City Wire, game director Gabriel Amatangelo stated that the team is currently still working on an overhaul of the cop system, which is definitely in a bit of a weak state right now, and the addition of vehicle-to-vehicle combat, which I assume might also make cop chases possible. Melee will also get a rework and a host of new skills as well, and there should be new cyberware added to the game too. The downside is that these bigger changes will only be available on PS5, Series X and S, and PC, so for Xbox One and PS4 players, this is the end of the line. But if you are playing on current gen or PC, then the biggest thing you have to look forward to is of course the big Phantom Liberty expansion, which is coming up in 2023. This spy thriller will take us to new areas to meet new characters, and while we currently don't have a lot of details, I fully expect there will be a big Night City Wire that'll show a lot more in the lead up to launch. When that happens, we will of course let you know here, so subscribe to miss nothing and let us know in the comments what topics you would like to see in future Cyberpunk videos on the channel. Remember to leave a like if you like this video, and if you want, you can watch our previous one where we discuss all the important details from the most recent Night City Wire. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.